All right, I'm back. I'm back, and I got a short live stream today. But if it stretches a little bit, I don't mind. I don't have anything to do. It's Sunday morning. Sunday is usually our days of, or my day for a good sermon. And this is one of at least two live streams for today. I'm going to have to put out more live streams just to have a lot of this information that I have piling up, actually put some use to it. And boy, oh boy, I got my work cut out for me. Now, the most recent live stream, on that live stream, I touched briefly on this myth, right? You see the title of the video, and it infuriates. It makes me so mad. Every time I read this idea that dogs in the home will provide your kids with stronger immune systems. I don't believe that at all, and I think the facts refute that. It is not substantiated by reality. From my experience, and I don't know, maybe I'm alone on this, it seems to me that dog owners are sick more often. They seem sick more often. At the very least, welcome. Y'all know how sometimes all the comments in the chat room show up late, right? Just as a heads up, they'll show up late. Good morning. Well, at least we got 12 people in here, right? I expected a small crowd, but that's okay. I will be back, and just want to chop up some information with everybody out there. This is the kind of information that at one point in my life, I thought, I was the only one aware of this type of thing. That only a small group of people pay attention to stuff like this. So it's euphoric to be able to put this information out and even have as little as 1,000, 2,000 people watch the video. For the most part, my views on my videos average about that much in the first week or so. But this is important information, and let's get into it. I read that nonsense yesterday on my live stream. Right? As a matter of fact, let's look it up. Some of you may know it by heart. Before I get into that, I'm sorry, right? Pardon me. Before I get into that, I think it is a clear sign of brainwashing, a clear sign of an agenda that we are being controlled somehow. And this brainwashing, this mind control, it's not in our best interest. It operates against our very existence. Many of you are aware of the story that just broke a few days ago, right? Of an 8-year-old boy who was beaten to death by his mother's boyfriend. How many people heard of that story? I think his name was Coulter. There were 4 boys. Right? How many people? I'm sure most of you have heard about this story. This is the mother. Y'all aware of this? Very, very sick story. Very sick story. And yeah. And I think I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to let you listen to something here. And I want this to sort of open up this live stream, because this is what it's all about. This is what I'm doing this for. This is Good Samaritan community service. That's all my channel is. Listen to this.
Here we go. All right.
Parker, and I'm the founder of Parents Against Predators, and we're mothers against child killers. And the reason we're here today, we want to send a strong message out to mothers. Mothers are to protect their children at all costs. And these mothers today are choosing men over their kids. Now by men to kill, molest, rape, bury, cut up, starve their kids. And we're tired, we're hurting. I don't say our mother can lay and sleep. I cannot sleep at night thinking about what happened to the kid and his brothers. It's heartbreaking. And we want justice for them.
Okay. Now, people, I am telling you, there are mothers all over the planet, in every country on this planet, who are very disturbed. People, I was very disturbed. I read about this story early in the morning before I went to work. And it was a rough morning at work. You know, it was hard for me to concentrate with this story running through my head. How many people are aware of this story? If you're aware of this story, type 1. If not, type 2. If you could for me, please. I just want to know that the listeners are on the same page with me here. Very sickening, very disturbing, evil, demonic story here. And what she said is it's not a choice. Okay, somebody type 2. It's not a choice. Oh my goodness. I've seen too many twos already. People have not heard about this story. People, oh my goodness. This story broke a few days ago. It broke a few days ago, okay? And I'm very humbled to inform y'all of this story right here. A few days ago, the law enforcement officers discovered the decomposed corpse of an 8-year-old boy that had been inside of an apartment in a closet. There were 3 other boys, age 15, I think 10 and 7. Yes, Sam, you're aware of this? Okay. Right, bear with me as I, inform the others about this sickening story. They found the remains of a decomposed 8-year-old boy in the closet. Turns out the boy was autistic and he had been beaten to death by his mother's boyfriend. His mother's boyfriend beat him to death, punched him and kicked him to death, covered his body with a blanket and put him in the closet. A little while later, the couple, they got tired of smelling the boy's decomposing body. So they left the boy's body in the apartment along with the 3 other boys. So they abandoned their other kids. Keep in mind, these kids were not the sons of the father. These kids had different fathers. So he beat and abused another man's children, killed another man's child, and her and him left that apartment and left the kids there with the decomposing body. That body stayed in that closet with the kids, living in that apartment for about a year. A year. Every day they had to deal with the odor of the decomposing body of their brother. It is said that the 15-year-old boy actually watched his brother being beaten to death. The mother of the kids was in the home as the beating took place when the murder took place. And she helped the man to cover up the murder. This is crazy, crazy. This is the worst story I ever heard in my life. That's not the end of it, people. So this woman hated her kids. She hated her kids. You have to not care about your kids to allow some man to beat on them and kill one of them. Now listen to this. 2 or 3 weeks ago, that same man who killed the 8-year-old boy, he went back to the apartment and he broke the jaw of another boy, the 15-year-old boy. Went back to the apartment and punched, abused the remaining children in that apartment. These kids were going next door looking for food. They said when they found the kids, they were malnourished, eating snacks, a bunch of unhealthy crap. This was a straight up horror story, people. And the lack of concern of the mother is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I think it's just an extreme case of what is going on in this country. How people don't care about their kids. Now you heard this woman here talk about how mothers are to protect their kids. Now I know some of the fellas believe in their heart, rightfully so, that it's the father's job as well. You know, many of you would argue that the men have an even a greater responsibility to protect. Because of course, you're at home with your family, upstairs, somebody breaks into the house, the man is going to go first. He's on the front lines. Look, I understand that. But females of all species have a natural instinct to protect their young with their life. Right? We know how even the wild animals of the world, you're in a whole lot of trouble if you run across a female, I don't care what it is, a female with her young. A lot of examples that I gave before on this channel is how the lioness is most dangerous when she's protecting her young. And many male lions would just back up off her, leave her alone. Even though the male lion knows that he could defeat and kill the lioness, he knows that in the state she's in now, protecting her young, she is at her most dangerous. So he would still suffer a lot of damage. And wild cats are very careful about not sustaining damage. Damage could lead to your death. It could impair your ability to hunt. This is a natural instinct. Y'all remember I talked about this on the video here, how I dedicated a whole video to it. How it's a natural instinct, protective instinct for mothers to be turned off at the sight, the sound of dogs. There have been, I would say, hundreds of women who talked about how they became disgusted by their dog after they became pregnant. I think these instincts are ignored. And there are forces outside of us that are conditioning us to be this way. I don't believe for 1 second that this is natural. So what this woman did was despicable. And no matter what word you just use to describe it, it's an understatement. And I view the ownership of dogs in a similar way. You keep dogs out of the community to protect your kids. Protect them. And as we know, the way they play with death, flirt with death, child protection is not on these people's minds. And that is a sign of a problem from this seat. And, you know, I look at this even this type of live stream as a stream to promote that same message. Protection. Don't bring your newborn around the mutt so that your newborn can inhale dog feces, urine, saliva, bacteria, germs, and all kind of crap that is airborne inside your home. Are you out of your mind? How can you parents out there not even feel driven to protect your baby's lungs? Do you know that dander can lead to your lungs not functioning? We'll go over it. We'll go over it. But I wanted to touch on that because this might seem like a minor type of live stream, like, oh, it's not that important, you're just talking about dander, immune system. No, this is very important. You understand, asthma attacks are deadly. Not only that, I firmly believe that even though, let's get into it. I'll come back to that. And this article from the Ohio State University Medical Center, they made an attempt to write an article titled "How to Avoid Illness from Pets." And I just wanted to show how careful this person was, so mindful of the dog nut world. It really, really jumped out at me because not only did she give it this title that is, very controversial in the eyes of dog nuts, right? How to avoid illness from pets. But she also included this image. So in the middle of the article, look at what this author did. She had to put in bold lettering and separate in large lettering and separate from all the body of the article. We want you to have your pets. We just want you to be educated so we can prevent any potential disease. And this is after she said, look, Wang wants you to know this right up front. She's an advocate for having pets and believes wholeheartedly in their health benefits. So bending over backwards like, look, don't take offense. Dog world, these dog nutters, they're like a mafia. They will be out here, they'll try to get you canceled, which is what they're trying to do with me. They flag every single video, people. They flag every single video. YouTube knows they got their work cut out for them because every live stream I put up, it gets flagged. So I believe YouTube has people who watch every live stream that I do. People, when I appeal the removal, the copyright strike, wasn't a copyright strike, rule violation strike. When I appealed it, this was on a Sunday when I appealed it. Do you know they responded to that appeal in less than a half hour? It was like 10 minutes. They gave me a response. So yeah, they're watching this channel very, very closely. But this person, this professor, I think it was a professor who wrote this, wrote a very good piece. Said, have you done any of these things with your pets? Have you allowed them to eat food from your plate? People, we know dog nuts, it get a lot worse than that. Have you let them kiss your face? Wash their feeding bowls or other items with your own hands? Go without washing your hands after petting pets. People, that woman in the store that had that, and that woman was working behind the cash register. And she had a dog in there. And she was touching the dog in front of the customers. And then she would proceed to touch the customer's items after touching the dog. These people don't wash their hands after they touch on these things. Never do. This is a disease-ridden culture, this dog nut culture. And it's very serious. Now, this claim that they have, see if I can pull it up here. Unfortunately, it's not very difficult to pull up. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, just like I thought. Here, let me share my screen here. I want y'all to see this. I want y'all to see the madness. So here it is. Dogs aren't just cool. They can also have health benefits. A recent study, I told y'all about these studies. A recent study shows that dogs can help strengthen immune systems of children against allergies and asthma if they are exposed to them, as well as barnyard animals, within the first 3 months of life. Now, don't they say that babies, small children, have weakened immune systems? Whenever they talk about people with weakened immune systems being more vulnerable to disease, they mention people with other diseases that weaken their immune system, and they always mention the elderly and very young children, citing that their immune systems are not properly developed yet. Right? So where is this narrative now? Right? That sounds like a huge contradiction to me. Because if that's true, if they have an impaired immune system, you're not going to also tell me that I need to expose a newborn to dog dander, to dog excrement and urine, saliva. I don't think so. You're not going to tell me that that benefits them. And how does it benefit them? How does it benefit them? That's the question. They're saying that it helps strengthen their immune. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. The only thing it builds an immunity to is dander. And seeing that your immune system has had to build an immunity to dander, and it has to fight off constantly fight off dander, I believe it makes the body more prone to other diseases. I believe at that point now it's easier for you to catch a cold, catch a flu, catch pneumonia, catch stomach infection or whatever. Right? That's my personal belief. And that's why I said people who are in the medical field, feel free to chime in. Because me personally, since I've stopped going to other people's homes, I stopped going around animals, and of course I stopped eating animal products. And I can comfortably say that anybody else who does it, you will never get sick again in your life either. I have never gone, it's going on 3 years now, that I have not gotten sick. All my life I've gotten sick at least twice a year. I would at least get a cold at least once a year. And it is because I'm not surrounding myself with dog dander. And not consuming meat or dairy, I'm sure, contributes to it as well. My point is that, like the so-called experts have said, the main source of illness for humans is animals. It's animals. And dogs are the worst, very, very worst kind. Now, I don't go inside of homes where there are cats either. But listen, cats spend about 50% of their waking time cleaning themselves. When cats groom themselves, do you know that they remove parasites from their bodies? They remove dead skin from their bodies when they groom themselves like that. They remove a lot of cat fur, and then it will come up as a fur ball. They'll cough it back up. The function of cats is light years ahead of dogs in terms or in regard to grooming or being clean. They're a lot cleaner than dogs are. The dirtiest, the nastiest, filthiest. The only thing a dog will do is lick its paw or lick its genitals. Even if it was mindful to groom itself, it's not as flexible as a cat. Right? These things are by nature the filthiest, nastiest creatures on the planet. You do not let something like this inside your home. You don't want to be in an enclosed area with something like this. So this professor, it took a huge chance here by writing this article, in my opinion, because all dog lovers do this, man. They'll feed the dog. They'll hand the dog some food and let the dog eat it directly from out of the hand. All dog lovers do that. We got to look at these moments as a moment where they're transferring diseases, bacteria, viruses, and all kinds of crap, trading it, sharing it with their mutt. All dog lovers, there are always exceptions, but virtually all of them allow their dog to lick on them. Okay? So these are a bunch of disease-ridden people. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that the presence of dogs inside a home makes the baby's immune system more immune, or builds an immunity to dander. That only applies to dander. What about the other things? You telling me that that's a fair trade-off? Yeah, I built an immunity to dander, but now I still got to deal with Campylobacter. I still got to deal with all these other nasty germs and infections, ringworm, all kind of stuff. Several times I've shown a list, and different sources have a different list. Some lists are a lot longer than others. Dogs transmit more diseases and infections to humans than I can even pronounce or remember. Let me see. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and this is just a small example. Small example. Okay? Here, let me share this with you all. Okay. So yeah, bravo, good for you. You've built up an immunity to dander. But now that you have a mutt in your home, now you have to deal with this. How smart is that? How strong of an argument do they have now? Look at this. Affected by saliva, viral infections. Okay, we're going to separate all of them. Let's separate all of them. Rabies, norovirus, Pasteurella. This is pretty ridiculous. Salmonella. Look at this. Each one is a different disease that you're now exposed to. So bravo. You've gotten past the dander. Well, look at this. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Okay, that's one of the, and these staph infections that you get from these mutts are very, very, very bad. So, all you dog lovers who brag about how dogs help strengthen your immune system, people that are only talking about dander. You build an immunity to the dander, just like any other disease or virus. It gets into your system in small amounts. This is all they're saying. Into your system in small amounts, and then your body builds up an immunity. That's the whole science behind vaccinations. But what about all the other stuff that you're now exposed to with the dog in home? Look, you can keep the dog. I don't mind my body being sensitive to dander. How's it going to benefit me if my body does not react to dander? That means I'm going to be more prone to damage. Why do we have these symptoms? What are the symptoms? The allergic reactions. What are allergic? These are the allergic reactions that we experience from dander, sneezing. Why do we sneeze? That's your body's way of trying to protect you from something. Is it not? Is it not? Nobody, you cannot convince me that it's beneficial to constantly be exposed to something that my body is telling me to get away from. Runny nose. These are, again, the allergy symptoms. Runny nose. When your body produces more mucus, it does it to protect your lungs. So who am I going to listen to? I'm listening to my body. The body is complex. They really haven't even figured out the human body yet. Nasal congestion. Here, let's look at it. Let's look at the information here. Sneezing is simply an involuntary release of air that helps the body to get rid of irritants in our nose and throat. Mucus serves to protect the, what is that? Epithelial cells and the linings of the respiratory digestive. Okay, this is to protect your lungs and the lining of your esophagus. So your body is talking to you, saying, hey, you are in an area that you need to get away from. These allergies kick in. And what happens when these allergies kick in? You become congested. You have a hard time breathing. What do? You go somewhere to get what? Fresh air. Fresh air. You do that instinctually. So your body literally forces you to get away from these mutants. Get away from them. You're not going to tell me that it's beneficial to be exposed to that? In no way. Itchy nose, cough, that's another way that the body tries to get rid of irritants. Okay? So, yeah, I'm not buying this. How pet dander affects your lungs. This may not always be the case, but dander affects your lungs. Not only does it trigger allergies, it can be harmful to your respiratory system. Look at this. According to the American Lung Association, what I say earlier on this stream, this can lead to a decline in the ability of the lungs to function. So your lungs can be less effective. Every time I hear a dog owner, they have some type of nasal issue. They're always congested. Always. And if they're not, it's because they're, they got to load up on decongestants. They're always dealing with mucus. And from what I've seen, they're always sick. These people are always sick. They always got some type of skin irritation, some type of ugly, nasty rash or something. It's commonplace. What is this? Look, your nose is the guardian of your lungs. And it just so happens that there is a certain virus, a certain bug going around, and it affects the lungs. The big popular virus that's going around, it's respiratory. So you're saying, how could this be beneficial? To be in the presence of something that irritates your respiratory system. that attacks your respiratory system. Just think about the people who contract this popular virus that's going around. How much worse is it if you contract it? How much worse is it now that you're inside of a home with a mutt? So even though you may have been raised around dogs all your life and you built up some type of immunity, I believe now you are even more sick. You're suffering even more. See, now your lungs, your respiratory system has got to deal with a whole different type of thing. Look, the connection between the nose and the lungs is important. Paying attention to problems in the nose can reduce or avoid problems in the lungs, such as bronchitis and asthma. Again, dander can trigger asthma attacks. It can be literally the cause of your death. What was it? Mouth. Oh, here you go. Here you go. What happens when your nasal passages becomes congested? You start to breathe through your mouth, and it can cause dry mouth, right, which increase the risk of mouth and throat infections. Mouth breathing also pulls all pollution and germs directly into the lungs. Dry, cold air in the lungs makes the secretions thick, slows the cleaning cilia, whatever that is, and slows down the passage of oxygen into the bloodstream. Ignoring nasal allergies increases the chance that you will develop asthma. It also makes asthma worse if you already have it. So, is it fair to say that exposing a newborn to dog dander increases the chances that they'll develop asthma? You can't tell me that they're going to be more resistant to asthma by doing something like this. It's ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People get their immune systems from all type of shit when they're young. Right. Snotty kids everywhere at school, scrapes and bumps. Don't need a dog to get your immune system. Yeah. Isn't it ridiculous how they literally suggest that being around filth and nastiness is beneficial? Listen, I want my respiratory system to have an allergic reaction. I want it to. That way I know there's something that I'm inhaling that I need to get away from. If you don't have an allergic reaction, that only puts you in danger. Allergic reactions are a lot like pain. You know, we experience pain. That's our body's way of letting us know, hey, I got a problem here that you need to fix. You know, you get a stab wound, you're going to feel some pain. Your body is telling you, hey, you got a hole here that you need to clean and patch up. Who would want to be unable to feel pain? See, that's the con job. They're saying, oh, it's good that your body doesn't respond to unhealthy, dangerous particulate matter. How can that be beneficial? Now, when I see articles like this, I become even more convinced. Look at this. Pet owners are sick more often and exercise less than other Working age people study finds. Now they're always digging up some study over here, some study over there. They're always pulling a study out of thin air. Well, I'm going to do the same thing. Here you go. A study. And guess what? I believe this study. This one makes more sense. They are sick more often, particularly dog nuts. And when they get sick, I believe it's more severe. Many of you follow my WMMA channel, and you may be aware that Manon Farrow caught COVID. She said it was very bad. Raquel Pennington, she said she thought she was going to die. And both of these fighters are dog nuts. Dog nuts. I've heard stories from co-workers who are dog nuts about how severe their flu was. Right? They had a cold or whatever. And they all could move. All I could do was lay there. I was in so much pain. It's like, people, before I went raw vegan, I would still get sick, but it was never severe. It was never severe. It would always be something very light. I didn't have to even take any medicine. It was that light. Most I would get is like a runny nose, and you know that sort of that taste you get, that sickly taste. That's it. No other symptoms. But these people get deathly ill. These dog nuts, I'm telling you, and this is the world's best kept secret. One of their best kept secrets is how these mutants destroy our health. Nobody can convince me otherwise. We're talking about something that walks outside, that ingests urine and feces, licks its genitals, its feces, its excrement, its urine, gets all over its body and on its dead skin, and it floats around in the air. Nobody is going to convince me that it's more beneficial to inhale that stuff than it is to inhale clean, uncontaminated air. This is kind of offensive, people. Me personally, it's kind of offensive to suggest that being exposed to this as a newborn is beneficial. That's offensive. You're really trying to insult what little intelligence I may have. And I'm not a medical expert. That's why I said, I wrote in the caption to this video, people in the medical field, please feel free to chime in, correct me, whatever. This is not about me teaching or anything like that. This is about us dealing with information and making sure that we put out the right information. Don't allow me to put out anything that's incorrect, okay? I mean, how many of you believe that? How many of you truly believe that it's more beneficial to inhale dog excrement, urine as a newborn? Do you think it's more beneficial to do that as a newborn than it is to inhale fresh, clean air? Stop it. It is so insulting. It is so insulting. Animal control doesn't do most of the time. Yeah. Animal control is so worthless. And you know, animal control is full of a bunch of dog nuts. People who, oh, I understand dog. I've been around them my whole life. This type of thing. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So no, I'm not a believer. Not a believer. And this is this article was going against popular belief. And you notice another thing, whenever they write these articles, they always put a picture of a dog, right? But to spare our vision, here I cut it out. But this is another article. Is your pet making you sick? Now we have reached the climax. What does it say here? Every year, more than 200,000 Americans get what? Stomach flu. Stomach flu. After ingesting a common bacterium found on the tail ends of dogs and cats called Campylobacter. Another easily transmitted bacterium is Salmonella, which causes diarrhea and fever in humans. Now, people, how many Americans do you believe, or what percentage of Americans do you believe experience diarrhea every year? There are a lot. There has to be a lot of people who experience diarrhea. We are free to assume that the majority of those people have it because of their mutt. That their mutt has passed something to them. How many people do you think get the stomach flu every year? Do you really believe it's 200,000? They're saying 200,000 get stomach flu from their pet. From their pet. Now, how would they even know this? You know full well this is not an accurate statistic. And far more, maybe close to all, of Americans who get stomach flu actually get it from their mutt, from their pet. In this article, they suggested that dog owners not allow their dog to lick them in this article. Saying, no, it's a bad idea. Let's talk about why. And they get into this. They said that now that you're ducking dog kisses, and notice how they, listen, is your pet making you sick? Notice how they always segue into exclusively talking about dogs. People, they do that virtually every single time. They always start out as if they're including cats. Dogs and cats, right? They did it right here. Dogs and cats. And then they always segue to exclusively talking about dogs. It's because they've been talking about dogs exclusively the whole time. The true article here is your dog making you sick. But they don't want to single out dogs like that. Okay? Says now that you're ducking dog kisses, you should probably plan to wash up after heavy petting. Heavy petting. So if you're petting your dog lightly, you don't have to wash. No, you got to wash, man. You touch that thing. You should not touch it, period. You should not touch it. Simple as that. And they're telling you, after each time you touch it, wash with soap and water. And here this lady working in a store, touching the dog and touching people's money, touching their card, the items they have. These people make our society disgusting and unclean. This is why I speak out against it. It's not a personal thing, you dog nuts. Try to act like, oh, people can do whatever they want. It's not harming you. No. No. This affects every single person in the community. So we are well within our rights to speak out against this. It's insanity. Soap and water are your best protection against ringworm, one of the most common infections dogs This is so revealing. This is so revealing, man. Yeah, pets, your pet, dogs and cats, dogs and cats, dogs, 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 dogs. They probably went back, looked at this article, like, oops, I forgot to include cats here. I forgot to include cats here. Oh, I'm busted. But it's not just ringworm. The dogs can pass to you by touching you, or you touching them. That lady who caught, I think it was a capnocytophaga, the dog just licked her. And it did not lick an open wound. Y'all remember that? Let me pull that up. Wasn't that capnocytophaga? Yeah, capnocytophaga. All right, let me share my screen here. Where is she? Yes, there she is. Okay. All right, and let me go ahead and pull this up. Share my screen. Yeah, we're going to get to the bottom of this. You dog nuts, you're not going to keep going around spewing that rhetoric. Woman has hands and legs amputated after dog licks her. She woke up in the hospital to find surgeons had amputated her hands and legs after a rare reaction to the saliva, right? I don't care how rare this is. If it's possible, I don't want to be around it. Surgeons removed her limbs to save her life as gangrene set in while she was in a coma. Wow. So she started to feel sick. So she decided to lay down on the couch. And she woke up with no arms and no legs. Slipped into a coma because of something that she contracted from a dog. A dog. People, that day, as soon as this story broke, there should have been a massive, historic number of people who got rid of their dog. Like, no. And if not after that, it definitely should have happened after this. Anything capable of leaving a human like this, you stay away from. That's not rocket science. That's common sense. Can y'all see that? Where's my PowerPoint here? I hope y'all can see that. Have I been sharing my screen? Oh yeah, I'm sharing it. People, come on. Really? And as you all can see, even after his limbs were amputated, he felt like it was his duty to the dog nut world to get this picture taken. This was just a photo op. It's a photo op, but he really did keep that mutt. So, you've built an immunity to dander. When you inhale dander, you don't have allergic reactions. Good for you. But now, you're exposed to this. Because the dog is there, this might happen to you. And this is only one thing out of many negative things that can now happen to you with a dog in the home. Is that smart? I'm trying to appeal to simple intelligence. All you dog nuts, I'm talking to you. I'm not trying to appeal to sophisticated intelligence. I'm trying to appeal to your common sense. Common sense. This was horrible. Another guy that slipped into, he had more than 20 surgeries. Unbelievable. So what's the problem here? What's the problem here? Why don't these dog nuts get it? What are they going to come up with next? Once they realize that this myth has been exposed, what's next? So you can catch capnocytophaga from touching dogs, ringworm. You can pick up parasites. You can pick up parasitic eggs just by touching dogs. A wide variety of bacteria and all kinds of stuff. And it's not just a matter of touching them. All dog nuts expose themselves to saliva. They all let their dogs lick on them. Like I said, this is the country's best kept secret. The best kept secret is how often dogs make us sick. How they keep us sick. If they were to reveal the truth about the health hazards that dogs present to humans, I guarantee you it will be a lot more information than what they've revealed to us thus far. They would pull out an entire scroll, multiple feet long. This is what we have been hiding from you. There's no telling what we find out. Soap and water, best protection against ringworm. A fungus like jock itch, lurk, and they estimate, let me isolate this. They estimate that ringworm makes the jump from dogs to people about 2 million times every year. How would they know that? How would they know that? These estimates, you see how they said more than 200,000 Americans get stomach flu after ingesting a common bacterium found on the tail ends of mutts? 200,000. But look at here. Look at this. According to the Cleveland Clinic, stomach flu is common. More than 20 million people get the stomach flu every year. Think about that. If 20 million people contract it every year, why would you estimate that it's only 200,000? They're just choosing a very small number, in my opinion. I believe they're deliberately choosing a very small number, probably the lowest possible estimate, and using that instead of using 20 million. And I'm quite sure many people who contract stomach flu, they don't go to the hospital and make an official report. They deal with it themselves. So this is an estimate as well. They're saying more than 20 million people who actually report it, who make a doctor visit. Just like with dog bites, we can assume that a lot more people contract it and never get hospital care. The estimate for dog bites is that only 1 in 3 to 4 victims actually visit the doctor, the hospital. So if this is the same, if 1 in 3 report stomach flu, well, now you got to multiply 20 million by 3 to 4. So you're talking about 60 million to 80 million. Think about that. And another thing is that it's possible that over 99% of those people who contracted got it from their dog. People who are in the medical field, when you go into the hospital and you get checked and they tell you that you have the stomach flu, how do they find out exactly how you got the stomach flu? Is there some type of process that they use to find out exactly how you ended up with stomach flu? Right? I asked for the input of people in the medical field for a reason. Think about that. How do doctors know how someone contracted stomach flu? Right? So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say that all 80 million, I'm going to say that every single person who contracts stomach flu got it from their mutt. Just like they feel free to use this tiny estimate, they want to say 200,000, knowing full well all the sources they found said about more than 20 million people. Again, if there's something I don't know, fill me in. But as far as I'm aware, a doctor don't know how you got stomach flu. He can tell you that you have it. He can't tell you where you got it from, or you got it from your husband, or you got it from your friend, or you got it from your dog. Never, ever trust the dog nut world. And don't trust the people who are not in the dog nuttery world, because those people will conceal information so that they don't get attacked by dog nuts. This is a very, very powerful group that we're dealing with here. You know, that's why I know my channel will never really blow up. It will never, I don't think it will get to like 50,000, 100,000 subscribers. Because without question, mainstream media will have to pay us some attention. But I believe that they will eventually. Because we're putting out too much information. We're dealing with too much information here. And it's not just these videos. These people scroll down into the comment section and they find more work. More work. They're just getting worked over. This is ridiculous. And we're just dealing with stomach flu. When you look at all the other diseases that these mutants pass to us, think about the parasites. I read an estimate somewhere that something like 80% of the people in the United States have worms and they don't even know it. Is a thing. It's not far-fetched. Toxoplasmosis. I've read that somewhere. Is a disease that results from infection with the parasite. Infection usually occurs by eating undercooked, contaminated meat, exposure from infected cat feces, or mother-to-child transmission. And this is what I'm trying to say. Can you imagine exactly how many diseases in general really come from dogs? The only way for us to know is to get rid of them. Get rid of them. Now, I know people who follow this channel are very intelligent. You're very intelligent, or else you wouldn't follow me. You would not follow this channel. If all dog owners got rid of their dogs today, do you believe we would hear from the medical industry or not? Would the medical industry eventually report that we have seen a lot less people coming in for this? There's a huge reduction in people being admitted for that, for this, for that. People, it would be revolutionary. A health revolution. I can almost guarantee that. There's no way that our statistics would remain the same if we were to get rid of dogs, just to remove them from society. These mutants could very well lead to our extinction. And we're exposing ourselves. We're making ourselves very vulnerable by tolerating the presence of these mutants. Did y'all read that report where a bunch of people catching diseases from dog food? Salmonella. Those recalls for dog food was for salmonella a lot of the times. And they're saying that a lot of people would feed their dog. They would put food in a dog bowl and they would touch the food themselves, and the people themselves were getting sick from the dog food. From the dog food. And they had to do a recall. What is this? 4 varieties of dog. Yeah, it's happened. Has happened everywhere. And this has happened multiple times, people. This is just one article out of many. And this one surfaced June of this year. This is the one I read about earlier. 4 varieties of dog food recalled because of salmonella concerns. People, it wasn't just concern for the dog. People were getting sick from this stuff. Do y'all know some people eat dog food? And listen, I have never done a YouTube search for people eating dog food. I've never done it. I'm about to do it right now, and I know for a fact that there's an endless number of people on YouTube eating dog food. We're going to have some fun today. We are going to have some fun today. This is absurd. These people, it's never-ending content. Those of you who make content, Canine Critic, Chef Mutt Meat, Ashley, you're witnesses. There is a never-ending amount of content when you're dealing with this dog nut world. Never ending. Okay, so I've never YouTubed this. I promise, people. I promise you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think that. I doubt it. This channel, I think at most would get 50,000. That's the highest it would get, and they'd find a reason to get rid of me. Okay, so yeah, I've never researched this. Sorry about that. But here you see, here it is. People eating dog food. Oh, without knowing. After a month of, whoa. This guy ate dog food exclusively for a month.
See you later.
Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. What? Why would you even try to do that? After a month of eating only dog food. What?
Far would you be willing to go to be the best? For one North Texas man, the answer is hard to stomach, but also very surprising.
Here's Sean Giggy in today's Giggy Bites. You want to be the best at everything you do, then what are you willing to do that others aren't?
Mitch Felderhoff will do just about anything to prove a point.
I need to just do it.
But his latest attempt at being right couldn't have been more pleasantly wrong.
Yeah, I was absolutely shocked.
Mitch, who owns Munster Milling, a pet food company, believes his company's dog food can't be beat.
Definitely not this
To prove it, he put his mouth where his money is.
At the end of the day, we're not going to feed your dog something if we haven't eaten it ourselves.
That's right. For 30 days, Mitch ate nothing but dog food.
That's good.
He documented his journey on social media.
I'm going to eat like a king tonight.
Mitch says it's definitely no filet mignon, but it's actually not that bad. I mean, it's good enough to make someone jealous.
I was excited to eat, but not quite in the same way she is.
Obviously, you don't do this kind of thing without expecting some sort of attention. And in fact, Mitch has been written about, talked about, even mentioned on The Tonight Show. But he had no idea the profound impact this would have on his health.
Never did I think that in 30 days I could have the exact opposite effect of Super Size Me.
Mitch lost 30 pounds. His blood sugar and blood pressure went down significantly, and his cholesterol dropped 60 points.
I mean, I put people on cholesterol lowering meds, and they don't have as good of results as what Mitch had on dog food.
Mitch says he's never been this healthy in his life. In fact, he feels so good, he plans to keep dieting like a dog.
When I say eating like a dog, not dog food, but I'm eating once a day, and I'm eating what I need.
So anyone who's trying to lose weight, would you recommend this?
I would not recommend dog food.
He said he eat once a day. That's why he's losing weight. You know how hard it is to eat one meal a day? I eat once a day, but I eat over a period of 4 to 5 hours. It's not just one meal. If you eat one meal a day, people, you can eat a pizza. You're going to lose weight. So that was dumb.
But
See, they're just being deceptive here.
at the end of the day, just eat less and eat less junk.
And always be willing to share. In Munster.
Okay, so clearly eating dog food is fairly common. And you got people in the comment section saying that they love dog food. I might have to try this. Look, I like dog food. Okay, you don't have that many comments on here. But some people eat dog food. They had to recall all of these bags of dog food for salmonella. Salmonella is another common infection in the United States population. How do we know exactly how many people were infected from food? Oh, I'm sorry about that. Y'all couldn't even see my... Give me 1 second. Basically, my question is, how do we know that 100% of people who contract salmonella each year, how do we know they didn't all get it from their dog some way? So it's not just the dog posing a health risk. The nasty slop that they get to feed it also helps contribute to making us sick. And that's a problem for all of us. All of us. Humans, we have to hand each other things. We touch things that are then touched by other people. I mean, can y'all do this for humanity in general? They're setting, like I said, they're setting us up. They're setting us up to be exterminated. Somehow, this is going to be a worse pandemic than you've ever seen. If it's spreading through dogs or dog food. Unbelievable. So you got salmonella. You got pastorella, the worms. Like I said, I read one report that allegedly around 80% of Americans have worms inside their body, some microscopic, but they have worms. The vast majority of people have worms. How do we know that the majority of those worms didn't come from dogs? I'm quite sure a lot of it came from the food that people eat. You know, especially if you like your meat rare, stuff like that, if you eat raw meat. What is this? Most of this stuff, people, I don't even know what it is. Staph infection, right? How about that? A lot of people get staph infection each year, right? How do we know? How do we know that the majority of the people who get staph infection didn't get it from their mutt? And if it comes from, listen, a specific staph infection comes from dogs. What is it? MRSA or whatever comes from dogs. And then what? Now humans can pass it to other humans. They're setting us up to be exterminated. Anything that runs rampant through dog nuts is going to get to us as well. This is pandemic prevention before it even happens. Before it even happens. This is crazy stuff. And you would think that America right now would be talking about this. It shouldn't just be us here talking about this. There's a increased health consciousness right now, right? I'm trying to be careful here. People, sometimes if you just say certain words concerning a particular virus, you don't get in trouble. Right? Aren't we? And look at here. I forgot. I included more than one in a line. My goodness. And the staph infection that comes from dogs, people, is resistant to antibiotics. You can't even treat it. Can't even treat it with antibiotics. How do we know that the majority of staph infections that humans contract every year, how do we know that staph infections in general, all of them, didn't come from these mutants? We get rid of dogs, we'll be a whole lot healthier. I don't care about your little immunity to dog dander because you were exposed to a dog when you were a newborn. You can have that. You can have that. Trust me, I'm happy that I'm the only one who can say that I don't have to deal with this stuff. Like I said, I want my body to respond to dog dander, to irritants, to something that I shouldn't inhale. How's it a good thing, like I said, when your body doesn't do that? How is that something to brag about? Is beyond me. So yet another talking point dismantled. I can't even say to the listeners to believe whatever you want to believe. I can't even say that this is an opinion. No, this is a fact. This is a fact. It is not beneficial to be exposed to dogs as a newborn. It is not. And this little worthless benefit that you reference to pales in comparison to the diseases and infections that you are now exposed to with the presence of that mutt. This is actually an embarrassment for the dog nut world. This video is embarrassing, very embarrassing for the dog nut world. And it was my pleasure. It was my pleasure I took a lot of joy in it. Unbelievable, unbelievable stuff. That guy, he's only eating once a day. Well, of course you lost weight. I don't know what dog food, from what I thought it was just meat. I think they put like wheat in it sometimes or something. Man. Dog food. Yeah, you know kids eat dog food. And there's no telling how many infections, diseases that we think is normal for humans. That's the problem. We pass all these diseases and we are convinced that it's just normal for us to have this stomach flu, have that, have all these infections, skin infections, bacterial infections. We think, oh, it's just a normal thing that we humans have to deal with. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. If you do a Google search, you'll see articles where people ask why dogs don't get sick the same way humans do. Not just dogs, animals in general. It's just humans, really, that get sick. Right here you got one. Why don't dogs get as sick as people? Why can animals eat and drink things that make humans sick? I don't know. Maybe I'm alone. I've wondered that, people. You don't see animals laid up like we are, barely able to function because they got the flu or cold or something like that. Do they? I mean, I don't know. I've never owned an animal. Oh, man. People. Oh, man. Yeah. People all over YouTube eating dog food. Just like I thought. Okay, now, some of this stuff, I would like to know what it is. Because it's probably something that's rather common. I think they all common. Let me see what this is. Leptospirosis. And here's the thing, a lot of the symptoms, if you are infected, are common symptoms. Like this, leptospirosis. Here, let me share this. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, people. I can't take it no more. I cannot take it no more. Look at this. Absolute madness. Y'all see that? Okay. Leptospirosis. That's just one of the diseases here. Symptoms. People may experience pain in areas, joints or muscles. How many people every year do you think experience pain in their joints or muscles? Well, it could all be from these mutts. From leptospirosis spreading around in the human family that come from mutts. Gastrointestinal. You may experience diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. How many people in the United States every year experience this? It could all be because you contracted leptospirosis from your worthless mutt. Whole body chills, fatigue or high fever, headache, red eyes, skin rash, or sore throat. How many of us experience this every year? It could all be from these worthless mutants. My point is, there's no telling how sick these things make us. There is no telling. The only way to find out is to get rid of them. Our very existence is in danger because of the presence of these things. Unreal. This is unreal. And that's just one. That's just one. If you do the research, you're going to find that these different diseases, they cause symptoms that are very common in the population. How do we know that it all, or at least the vast majority of it, is not because of these mutants? We got to separate ourselves from these things. Okay, what is this? Oh my goodness. And it's a wide variety of parasites. Not like a bunch of these are parasites. Campylobacter, of course, Capnosophthalica is what causes gangrene. And they say that most dogs, and I think cats, have it in their mouth. And you know what? I firmly believe that a lot of the diseases that they claim is present in cats is not present in any other animal, just dogs. I think they randomly include cats often. That nobody's going to tell me that an animal that obsessed with cleaning itself is just as ridden with diseases and germs as a flippin' mutt. Nobody can tell me that. Oh my goodness. Okay, and this is the CDC. Let me get a screenshot here. Man, oh man. What a crazy world. This stuff is going to drive me crazy, man. I don't know how I'm keeping it together, to be honest. All right, let me show y'all this. Man, this is from the CDC. Campylobacter causes an estimated 1.5 million illnesses each year in the United States. Contact with animals. Now they say that you can eat it or contract it by eating raw or undercooked poultry, or eating something that touched it. Get it from other foods, including seafood, meat, and produce, or by contact with animals. And drinking untreated water. So they usually recover 1 point. Now, how do they know that? What are the symptoms? That's the question. Let me look at the symptoms. Oh, man. Okay. All right. Let me get this screenshot here. Man, oh, man. This is so nasty. This is nasty, people. I don't get it. How can you be comfortable being this nasty? That's the big question. How can you be comfortable being nasty? Symptoms. People with Campylobacter infection usually have diarrhea, often bloody, fever, stomach cramps. Probably the majority of our population experience this every year. It could all be from the dogs. 100%. These things are literally, could be, let me say could be, these things could be literally killing us. No, let me not say could be. They are. I just don't know to what extent. They are greatly contributing to lowering the quality of our life. In a way, some little stupid anxiety reduction from rubbing that mutt can't compare. Man, bloody diarrhea, fever, stomach cramps, nausea, vomiting may accompany the diarrhea. Symptoms usually start 2 to 5 days after you get contact. Man. Sometimes called or irritable bowel syndrome. Okay. It goes by the name of irritable bowel syndrome as well. Wait a minute, what? Sometimes it can cause complications such as irritable bowel syndrome, temporary paralysis, and arthritis. Wow. Again, how many people experience this every year? We don't know to what extent dogs contribute, and we should get rid of them to see, so we can find out. Let's find out. Get rid of them. People, give up your mutt, take it to a shelter, whatever. I'll be glad for my tax dollars to go towards that, at the least. I mean, look, I'm not going to get what I'm actually asking for, but if I were to at least get that, a test run, you know, get rid of dogs for 6 months, a year, to see how human health increases, I'm telling you, it would be a whole different world. Whole different world. This is crazy stuff. People, we will be here all day looking into each one of these infections. And anytime you see something that causes a list this long, where some of these infections will cause you to need your limbs amputated or give you diarrhea. Diarrhea, that's dangerous. People die all the time. Diarrhea, dehydration. Anything that causes just that alone, you need to stay away from it. You got to be stupid to be comfortable living this lifestyle. You got to be nasty. You got to be so such a nasty, disgusting individual. You're not embarrassed by that? Why aren't you disgusted by this? What's the matter with you? This is how people need to talk to these dog nuts. What is wrong with you? This is not a complete list. There are many things that you can track from your mutts that are not on this list. And you're not uncomfortable with that. You really view yourself as superior to others around the world who don't like dogs, who refuse to even touch them. You really think, I mean, are you really comfortable with them having that kind of a trump card on you, where you're always vulnerable to be called out as a nasty, animal-like, primitive, savage? Why would you be comfortable with other nations having that on you? We need to, this is the type of good old American talk we need to have. Not this stupid little pop digital culture we dealing with today, where people brainless. People, the average person talks like something is wrong with them. unbelievable. Yes, let's find out. Let's find out how much more healthy we'll be, man. I think we all see a difference. We all see a difference. Man, we're going to kill ourselves. These people going to kill us. These dog nuts. Man, like I said, we very well may have a very powerful example that would have served as a lesson that we learn from. And that is the Black Death Plague. That could very well serve as a history lesson if they admit that it was caused by dogs, which I believe it was. People, think about it. They didn't have vets back then. They wasn't giving dogs shots back then. Think about it. Think about it. No veterinarians. No shots. And they were living. They would allow the dogs to live in their homes. They say it came from fleas. Well, if that's true, then the flea went from the rat to your dog. Dogs eat rats. If they originated in rats, how'd it get to you? You're not rubbing on rats. You rubbing on that mutt. Ultimately, I think the cause was dogs. The Black Death Plague is supposed to serve as a history lesson. But because they want to protect the image of dogs, we are destined to repeat it. We're destined to repeat it. Our leadership has failed us to the point where we are set up to repeat the most deadly pandemic ever recorded. Is this not essentially the path that we're on right now? And coincidentally, back then, the Black Plague, that was a respiratory infection. Just like another popular infection that's going around. What a sad, sad state. What a sad state. Man, oh man. Get rid of them. Just get rid of them. I don't know what's going on. And you know what? The intelligence of humans might go through the roof if we got rid of these dogs, even for a year. It would go through the roof. Now these people who fill in their free time rubbing on a mutt and pretending to be a mutt online. Let's not forget all these Twitter accounts, Instagram accounts, where people sit up all day creating photos, doing this, creating a photo op. Think of the energy, all the energy they put into controlling these websites, pretending to be a dog. Now, all that free time and energy has to be redirected to something else. Well, what else do you have other than your family? Other than being constructive. Now you can actually get some things done that you wasn't getting done because you was playing around with, obsessed with a mutt. Somebody said the painting has a dog. Yep, it's eating the body. And I'm sure that's what was going on back then. So, you know, it's like a virus that helps the dogs to survive, that they pass to the humans, that helps the dogs survive because the people die. Now the dogs got food. See, dogs are just a host. They're demonic creatures. Demonic spirits use dogs to manifest themselves in the real world. Yeah. Yeah. AJ said that this channel and community gave me the courage to call out my neighbors, to report them, and to speak openly about my hatred for dogs. Good. That's what we need, man. That's what we, and it's happening. More and more people are doing things like that. And eventually, they're going to have to cave in. Because there are going to be too many people reporting these people. You know, the mainstream media is not going to do it. It's going to require the good old-fashioned way of people in real life giving pushback to a certain lifestyle. It's going to happen at the grassroots level. None of this digital stuff, even though we'll be present. But things in real life has to happen because they have these dogs in real life. Crazy stuff. So that is all for now. I will come back later tonight and discuss some things and drop off a few recordings in the members area. We have covered a lot. We've covered a lot. And we have hardly gotten started. Big shout out to all the members, all the supporters. Hope to see you on tonight's live stream as we continue this crusade against these worthless, disgusting mutants. They're enabling contaminated owners.